This story is one of my first memories. It takes place around when I was 3 years old. One day, my cousin Leonard decided that we should go into the woods, just me and him. I remember he had a rifle on his back, so I'm assuming he was hunting something, most likely a raccoon or squirrels. He took me into the woods and we walked around for a while. I remember being in awe of how massive it all seemed. I don't know how long we walked, since I had a screwy sense of time back then, but apparently I became tired, or I became a nuisance to him. He decided to let me sit alone on a log while he continued to wander around the forest. Why he left a 3-year-old alone where there's bears and poisonous snakes, beyond my comprehension. So, there I was, alone in the woods. I sat there for what felt like hours. At this point, I was starting to become afraid of the animal noises that were coming from deeper in the woods, and they seemed to be getting closer. I had no idea how to get back to my grandparents' house. I was just about to start crying when I looked over at a tree, and there, about 30 feet away from me, were 5 or 6 little men. I'm not talking the size of a dwarf, more like the size of a squirrel. These 6 little men were sitting around the base of the tree and smoking pipes. They wore red hats and had beards, and they were looking right at me. They must have realized I was frightened and alone in the woods. Oddly enough, these tiny little men made me feel calm again. They smiled at me. I wasn't scared of them one bit. All at once, they pointed in one direction. They didn't speak. They just continued to smile and wave. They were pointing towards my grandparents' house, and they continued to puff on their little pipes. It felt like I was walking for a very long time, but eventually I returned to my grandparents' house. I started yelling for my mom. She came outside and was shocked to see that I had come to my home without my cousin. Needless to say, when he got back, he was in a whole lot of trouble. It wasn't until years later that I told her about the little men who had pointed me on my way home. Because of that experience, I'm a firm believer in the little folk.